Okay, I think the last thing that we need to build is the king. I just pulled up the assembly, and assembly's nice. For instance, I can just right click on any one of these parts and say open part. So assembly can be a really nice launch pad. Okay, so if we look at this queen, we'll do the file save as a copy and open. We'll save this as the king. And let's roll up to a point where we think, so I'm just going to roll that back and roll it back again. We could make this the starting point right here for the king, and I think we will. We'll make the king a little more staunch, so we'll edit our original sketch and we'll just adjust this arc. And well, first there we go. Okay, I see. There we go. Alright, that's fine. Now, for the king, I'm going to do an extrude down. I'm not going to have a complicated cross, but I'll have a simplified representation of that cross. What I want to do is get a reference plane that is parallel to the top plane, so parallel to this circle right here, and tangent to the top of his head. So a couple ways I can do that. First of all, reference geometry plane, and then your reference points. My first reference, I could select that circle right there. Oh, hold on, I got a phone call. Wait. And okay, we're good. Alright. Or I could just delete that, and we can also go parallel to the top plane. By default, you said it sets it up here at a given distance, but we can just go over to parallel and take care of that. So now it's somewhere and it's parallel to the top plane. Okay, there we go. Tangent to that sphere. Check mark OK. Let's go normal to that plane, and let's begin a sketch. Now I'm going to carve out everything except for a square around the origin, around the very center of the sphere, or what is to be the crown. So just, there's 100 ways to do that. Remember, back to your geometry. So I could start with a circle if I wanted to. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do, not half an inch. There we go, 50 thou. And then I could start bringing out, go back to the line tool, not the square tool. I could start bringing out lines, enter, enter, enter. Enter, enter, enter. There we go. If I hover up on that quadrant point, then it registers. And then just trim. That might be an interesting shape if I actually left it as a sphere and brought down. We can always come back and do that. For now, I have the square. That was my original intent. Let's just see what it looks like. So, extruded cut. Select your contours. It's going to be that contour. And our depth will go blind, although that is too far. Let's go half of that. Let's just see what it looks like. There you go, sort of kingish. Not really sure I like that. Perhaps make the square that sits on top bigger, or in fact make it a more of a cross. So let's go back into the sketch. Now, to make this as a cross, I can do a couple things. Let's do this though. Well, undo. Let's offset the square, check mark, and then extend the lines. That'll be the easiest thing to do. And now trim away. Okay. Now this is going to be interesting. So I edited the sketch, and the selected contours are out of whack, the extrude cut. So it says feature cut extrude 5 failed to rebuild, which may cause subsequent features to fail. Would you like to repair cut extrude 5 before SolidWorks rebuilds the subsequent features? And I always just continue, because and then it gives me an error. The intended cut does not intersect the model. Okay, oh gee, where's my cut? And it highlights in red over here with an X, and over here, and everything is red. That's fine. I'll just go back in and edit the feature. So what it's saying is it moved the area that the region that I had selected got extended. And so right now it's not actually cutting anything. And so that created an error for SolidWorks. So let's just go back into the region editor or the selected contours. Now we have some geometry that will actually cut things, and hit OK. Hey, look at that. Let's see if that, let's pull this into the assembly and see if that looks like a king. Sure does to me. I like that effect. Okay, save. Control tab. Control tab again. Insert components. King. Mate. Not bad, and it puts the king and the queen at equal height. Survey this. The bishop could stand to be a little bit taller. Perhaps the top coming up to the, yeah, not bad. Okay, well, let's fill out this board. As far as, well, actually, let's give all these pieces here a color coding. There's a couple things we can do. We can define the color or how these pieces will look in the assembly or in the parts themselves. So in the long run, it'll behoove us to define the texture or the appearance of these parts in the part files, but we're gonna do it both ways. So here's how we're gonna do it in the assembly, and this is really simple. Click on Edit Appearance. Okay, and apply it the component level or apply at the part document level. I'm not gonna apply it at the part document level, because when we do that, we're gonna do configurations of parts. So for now, I'm going to apply at the component level, which is the component of the assembly. And I'm not holding down shift, I'm just clicking all of these pieces. Okay. And over here what closed was the Appearance, Scenes, and Decals tab. So I'll open that back up. And SolidWorks by default has plenty of appearances that imitate different materials, different wood. There's wood. There's plastics, a lot of plastics with different finishes, different metals. Rubber, glass. Then basically your basic colors as well. So I can go just white, black. I'll give it a, and really the other thing to do is actually define the material at the part document level. If it's plastic, I really should edit the base material, and then the appearance will be inherent. So for now, let's look at what a white low gloss plastic looks like, and then we'll hit OK. And you can go up to here and you can go to, oh, I have Real View Graphics on. It's going to turn on Real View Graphics, but it looks like we're okay. What we're going to do here is we're just going to do a render, sort of a screenshot. So we'll go into our options for photoview 360. This is only going to be available in the professional seat of SolidWorks, not the standard seat. Your output image size. Do you want to output ambient inclusion, your final render quality, bloom, different shadow effects, direct caustics, and if you want to set up a network rendering. I've never been able to play around with that. I couldn't tell you much about network rendering. But, so that's just the options. Before you go in and start a render, do the preview window, which another window will show up, and this is going to give you a preview of the final render and how it will appear. Oh, that looks nice. And then I can pause this, or in real time I can hold down Control and I can move around my camera in the model space. I could also go to a standard view, and that's nice. And so if I pause this, or actually I could leave it open and just start doing a final render, but I'll pause it. What I wanted to get to with the pause is that I can come into my model space and move around, and now my preview window isn't hogging up resources because it's paused. So we'll go back to a default view. Now nothing should update it. It might update, or if I go reset, it updates a little, but nothing moved. Okay. So now let's do a final render. Let's go photoview 360 and final render. Then this screen will pop up, and it'll start doing its passes. And on a maximum quality render with the caustics, the final bloom, the ambient occlusion, it does about 6 passes, and this could take, depending on how much detail and what your materials were, if you had a lot of highly reflective materials, and what your scene was, and basically what your computer system is, this could take up to a half hour, an hour, on how complex your part is. We're gonna let it do a few more passes. If you want to skip ahead, feel free to, but I'll let this render out just so you have an idea. And it is interesting to watch, I suppose. But I'll go get a cup of coffee, and when I come back back, we'll be a little bit closer to finish. Okay. Alright, we're done rendering here, and it's not really... Oh, there we go. I could have zoomed in that whole time. So we'll save this image. And we'll just call it render 1. And here it was under 1920 by 1080. And that resolution can go way up. So we got some nice reflections here, a real glossy finish. The chessboard was just a default texture, and that's what you can expect, is some nice subtle reflections. If it was almost a marble or ceramic surface, and then the plastic, the medium to low glass plastic, that's what you get. So it's fun to really play around. We'll do some shots where we make one side brass and the other side bronze or silver and gold, or the board is wood and all the pieces are wood, or different colors of plastic. So we'll have a lot of fun with the rendering. For now, I'm going to call this a video, and on the next one we'll fill out the other side of the board and make sure all of our proportions with the pieces to each other, the pieces with the board spaces, everything looks good, and then we'll go from there. Thank you very much.